Hello and welcome back to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. My name is Eric Herlock, and today's show is going to be a little different than normal. It's going to be a traveling show. If you listened to last week's show, you know that I was headed up to Ag Progress Days in Center County, Pennsylvania. That's not the only place I went in the past week, so today we're just gonna meander through some places I went and hear who I talked to. All right. We'll take a quick sponsor break, and then we'll come back and see where the show takes us. This episode is brought to you in part by Impactful Ventures, an investment and incubation company focused on supporting startups and other initiatives that play a vital role in mitigating the adverse effects of climate change. At Impactful Ventures, they strive to amplify enterprises that bring innovative green opportunities to the forefront and empower those making a significant impact for a sustainable future. You can learn more at impactfulventures.org. This episode is brought to you in part by I&D Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana, where they believe in the goodness of hemp. I&D Hemp is a family-owned, mission-driven, and environmentally focused industrial hemp food, feed, and fiber company, providing new opportunities for farmers and rural communities. Their mission is to provide innovative agricultural products and services to connect American farmers with the pioneers and businesses that see hemp as a way to bring real and lasting change to our communities and planet. Learn more at indhemp.com. Okay, welcome back. So before we get into anything today, I just wanted to share with you something that I got in the mail from one of our listeners. It's a handwritten letter, very, very nice. It's by Chris Worth, and I'll just read parts of it here. The letter writer was concerned that I was a little bummed out about something. Maybe, I don't know, there's something in my voice that they could hear. And so they wrote this letter to, remind me what it is that I do. And it was really awesome. So the paragraph here says, most importantly for me is that you provide hope. Hope that an industry may be born where the captains focus on long-term outcomes rather than short-term profits only for themselves. Any student of history will tell you that such hope is hopelessly naive. Don't listen to them, please. Keep the faith. You are not alone. Maybe one day we will realize that it is in our self-interest to work together. So, yeah, thank you, Chris. That is just a lovely, lovely letter, and you made my day. Thank you. All right, what else? So thinking about, connecting with our audience and also my traveling around in the past week, it made me really thankful for the people that I've gotten to know, either indirectly as the audience or directly as the people in the industry that I've gotten to spend some time with. This past week was a great example of that. But anyway, we'll just kind of run through it. So on last week's show, I talked to Jay Burstein. We talked about the hemp guitar. And then I published that show a little early so I could get on the road and get up to Ag Progress Days, which I mentioned last week is this 3-day event in Center County, Pennsylvania, outside of State College, where Penn State main campus is. This is at Penn State's research farm, and there's just a ton of farmers there. Many years ago, I actually met Erica Stark there. She was giving a presentation on industrial hemp, of all things. I think that was back in 2017. So yeah, this year I walked around a little bit just with my microphone on and just started talking to people. So I met this one guy named John Borders. He was leaning against a tree in a nice shady spot up by the information booth. Hello, sir.
Hi.
May I ask you some questions?
Nope.
Okay. But I already did. I asked you one anyway.
Yeah. I can make a suggestion.
Yeah.
over there and talk to those fine young ladies
Yeah, why is that?
and ask them why they don't put a bench out here.
They should put a bench here. You'd
Yes.
be sitting on it, wouldn't you?
Yep, I went there, and a fine young lady told me if I wanted a bench, I could buy a bench.
You have to buy your own bench now? They don't even provide the benches?
That's what she suggested.
Really?
I
Which
thought
one?
it was a little sort of one way.
Which one of these? All of them? Did they gang up on you?
No, I think the lady down at the far end.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm not
All
even
right.
sure it's the same bunch.
Can I ask your name?
Yeah, my name's John Borders.
John.
Yeah.
All right. And you require a bench.
Well, I don't require one. I mean,
You'd be
I may
happier with a
I-
bench.
I'm 83 years old, but I'm hale and hearty enough to sit here on the ground, and I can get up again. But I thought it was kind of one way to come up and sit, because I know they've got a whole conference room in there with all kinds of folding chairs.
Yeah.
And somebody could, with one of these scooter crews, could easily set up half a
some
dozen chairs out here.
Yeah.
Everybody would be happy, rather than telling me I should go buy a bench.
Where did she want you to buy the bench?
Well, she thought it sold if I wanted to make a memorial gift
Oh. Well,
to
I
buy
mean,
a bench.
but how
that
long would
maybe-
that take? You wouldn't be able to sit on that bench today,
No, it wouldn't.
and that kind of defeats it. Like by the time it's ready, you wouldn't need the bench.
Yep. I thought it was kind of snarky.
Yeah, that wasn't that, yeah. Huh. All right. Well, I'll go find out. You stay right here. All right.
I'll stir the pot here
Yeah,
a bit.
I'm with you. Hello. So I'm with Lancaster Farming Newspaper, and I'm recording. I'm just documenting things. And I was talking to this guy, John, by the tree, who was asking for a bench, and someone suggested that he just go buy a bench.
Well, that's not really
And
like
he doesn't want to buy a bench. He just wanted to sit on a bench. So any comment on his bench plight? Could you introduce yourself, too?
I don't think I want to be on the record.
Okay, fair enough.
I think you should go in and talk to them
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
Talk to Deb or
That's
Rita
not really
or
how I
Katie
put it.
that are inside at headquarters. You were in headquarters
Yeah, I was,
before.
I was.
Talk to them. They can
No, I'm just
be much more
mostly having fun, you know?
Okay.
facetious, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
the whole thing. So I know it's not a.
There's some benches right here behind the house.
Oh,
a whole
yeah.
like rest area.
So there are, yeah, okay. I see that. Oh. I don't know who's causing more trouble, him or me.
Well, maybe the two of you we should separate the two of you.
Bench or a bunch of folding chairs.
So I found the benches for you. See that white tent back there?
Yeah.
There's some benches in there.
Uh-huh. But if you tell somebody that you're going to meet them at the information booth, you
Should
can't
have a
spot
place to
anybody back
sit.
there.
You're right. You're right. This is a great spot to meet people. Are
Yeah.
you waiting for
Well,
somebody?
well, yes, I am, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. But
And-
not a reporter from Lancaster Farming.
No.
You weren't waiting for me. No, I'm like that. I'm the least expected.
No.
It's good to keep your expectations low, though, right?
Yeah. But, you know, it would seem reasonable to me to anticipate that if you get a crowd out here, they will say, we'll meet you at 2 o'clock at the information booth.
And you want to get there early because, early is the new on time.
Oh, you get tired, you want to sit for a while, so you come up here.
Shade tree.
You got, yeah,
Yeah,
nice place to
right.
sit and wait.
So,
But, instead, I'm told that I should go buy a bench.
and you really don't want to do that.
Not really.
I mean, what do they even cost? Like, that's probably like $1,000.
If Penn State bought it, it'll probably be twice that.
Is this your first Ag Progress?
No, I used to come all the time.
Was there a bench back in the old days?
I don't remember, but I used to come with my wife,
Yeah.
and she's dead now. So I just have some other people that wanted to come here and
Yeah.
some neighbors, and I brought them out. And so they're off looking at stuff. He's an Amish dairy farmer, and so he and some of his boys all piled in my truck, and we came out here.
All right. Are you a farmer?
Nope.
No.
Got a few sheep, but I wouldn't call myself a farmer.
Fair enough. And, yeah, there's a lot to see for some Amish dairy farmers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a wonderful. The whole concept is great. I'm glad that they do it. It's you get to see what's available in in terms of equipment. There's some good educational things. So I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. It's just that they happen to have a slightly snarky information booth crowd.
It's just a bench, you know? I mean,
Yeah, it's not a huge deal, but it certainly was not the response I thought I would get.
yeah. You thought they'd just roll a bench right out for you,
Well, not necessarily.
like a fancy gold bench.
No, I didn't really even expect to get a bench, but I thought somebody might say they would take it under advisement or something,
Right.
rather than tell me go buy one.
Yeah. Well, they told me to go in and talk to the people in there. I think they thought I was serious. And of course I am. I'm seriously talking to you about the bench. It's nice talking to you, John Borders.
Well, good to talk to you, sir.
I hope you eventually find a bench that you don't have to pay for.
Well, groundwork's pretty good.
There you go. All right. Nice chatting. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I walked around talking to people. It was beautiful weather out there at Ag Progress Days. And so this was Tuesday. And then Tuesday night, I had plans to get together with Herb Grove. He's the hemp farmer and bison farmer out there on Brush Mountain. He's got his hands in a bunch of different operations, like a trucking company, a row crop, oil seed crop operation. He's growing hemp. Really an amazing place. So I met him out there at his farm, and then he drove me around in his truck and gave me the tour of his area and the farm. And so we'll listen to a little bit of my conversation with Herb from inside the truck.
So we're in central Pennsylvania. To my left is Brush Mountain, and the bottom of Brush Mountain starts at Penn's Cave. Penn's Cave is the only place in the United States you can get through an underground cave on a boat. So they do boat tours. You can show up at Penn's Cave, get on the boat, go through a cavern. It's really cool. If you had more time, I'd hook you up with that visit.
Sounds like a reason to come back, huh?
Absolutely. I've had a lot of people come here, and if they stay more than a day or two, that's one thing they do, and everybody loves it. It's a wildlife park as well. They run elk, deer. They got a bear, coyotes, foxes, longhorns, bison. They promote all kinds of wildlife, obviously. As long as I can remember, I grew up here. There's an airport right here. Small airport, but you can fly in and out. It's open. And it's just a beautiful piece of property. So we help manage all their land. We make the hay, the corn, crops. We got sunflowers up here.
For the wildlife preserve.
Yep. Yep. So we try and help them with their feed. Most of my brother, he's the wildlife man. He's really good with animals, manage them, hence the bison. Takes somebody who knows what they're doing to maneuver the animals.
What's your brother's name?
Jeremiah. So he's a year behind me, and he's more like the engineer of the two of us. Just figures anything out, gets it done kind of person.
Just the two of you? You got other siblings?
Yeah, I got a sister. She was there working with show steers with my niece and nephew. And then I got another sister. She's into arts and crafts kind of thing. And then my parents live at the end of the driveway, so everybody's still pretty much on the farm. That's where I live, is right up there.
You live over there.
Yeah.
You don't even live on the farm.
No, I don't live on the farm. Which is good in its way, just because the businesses are there, so you got to be able to step away from that. At first, I used to live on the farm, and it was just a tough balance when you're running a trucking company that operates 24/7. You never, ever get a break.
So you got a farm that you do bison, you grow crops, and you run a trucking company.
Yep, and a 24-hour repair shop, so we fix heavy equipment, trucks, road service, all that kind of stuff.
How many employees do you have?
It depends as far as drivers and everything. Right now, we run about 15. We got a lot of family that isn't considered an employee, but they're a partner more than anything. Really, that's the problem with farming. You got to have family and low cost to be able to afford to do anything. So, family, friends, a lot of people step up and don't have to be on payroll to be part of what we're doing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so where are we driving to now?
So the farm we just came from was my grandfather's farm that he had sold in 1977 on my mom's side. We had purchased that farm in 2018. We were leasing it since 2001 from an Amish guy, and then he decided to part with the property and sold it back to us in 2018. The farm we're going to now is my grandfather's farm on my dad's side, and he had passed away last April, and we're trying to keep it a farm and running as a farm as such as he would. He grew up milking cows, been there his whole life.
Your dad?
My dad's dad. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So my dad's dad grew up here, raised his family there, milked cows till the mid 80s, retired from dairy, got into beef, and then became a seed rep, corn for Dobler's, worked there for several years. And we'd always crop farm, and then he was hung up the beef side of it, and we redid the barn, and we started raising bison in that barn as well. And now we took over the fields, the crops, and trying to cash crop and raise the bison on there as well. So it's pretty cool to still be able to farm both our grandparents' farms that they raised their families on. So we're definitely a lucky group. It's a blessing to be able to continue that for all of our family, really. As people get away from the farms, they really tend to want to go back. And once they're gone, they're gone. There's nothing to come back to. So 80, 100 years from now, maybe there's family that want to understand where they got started. Hopefully that'll mean something by then. But time will tell.
We eventually got around to talking about industrial hemp, about CBD versus grain and fiber, and sort of what grain and fiber is up against right now.
Fortunately, it's the educational glitch that industrial's the same way. I mean, we don't have enough interest from farmers to grow this crop.
I don't think we need interest from farmers yet. We need market,
We need industry. The nervous part is industry's coming. They're going to be prepared, and we're going to have to spend a lot of time convincing farmers to get on board. There's a lot of education to growing this crop. And that's really the truth of it. We've been doing it since 2019, so like every year we find something new, learn something new, and get better at it and better at it. So we've had 4 or 5 years of practice that other farmers are going to need the same kind of information.
But they might not need it for 5 or 10 years from now.
Well, let's hope that's not the case. I'll be in trouble. I mean,
No, 5 years, I think, you'll see more farms growing hemp.
I just hope we've got enough industry. That's the biggest thing. If these guys get plans, then obviously the demand will be there. Have you toured any other industrial hemp? Not much. In Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, no, there isn't much. So there's
Really?
Steve Groff. There's some down in Chester County. I think there's pockets here and there.
We
There's
just don't hear about them. Guys are still playing with it.
Yeah, I mean it's coming. It's like you saw that hemp engine thing in Hazleton.
Yeah, yep, we were there for that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, actually. And it was actually pretty good. There was a lot of guys upstairs that had some products going on,
Yeah.
which was, it's always exciting to see people's ideas. You making it down to Sarah Mitchell's AgriKings?
I'm gonna go to the thing on Tuesday,
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to.
and then I'll hit the Penn State one that night. So it'll be like a
So-
long hemp day.
Penn State's doing it the same day?
Yeah, they do like a twilight hemp walk. That I guess it's that Tuesday, the 15th.
Okay.
It's like maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock, something like that.
So you'll get a lot of hemp in that day.
Yeah, a lot of hemp that day. But I saw some hemp in Montana.
Were you just out there for when was the hemp summit out there?
Just like 2 weeks ago.
Were you out there for that?
Yeah,
How was that?
it was awesome.
Really?
It was like life changing. Yeah, it was so good.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they have a good crowd?
They had a good crowd. There's like maybe 150, 175 people. Like it was kind of invite only, right? So like only the sort of the people that they wanted there and who could make it, because they invited, a bigger group than that.
Right. Yeah, we thought about going to it, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah, you had invited,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah, it's tough, but
should have just made it happen. But it's hard to spend. It's really tricky to figure out where your time is best spent. I mean, we have so much going
you
on.
have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If all I did was hemp, that'd be one thing. If all I did was bison or crop, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
the fact
you have
is,
many
yeah,
things.
I have a hard job of just keeping track of what time is best valued where. So,
Well, I appreciate you taking this time.
no, and I tell
Driving me
everybody,
around.
everybody says
Sounds
that, and
good.
I'm like, when somebody comes, it's the only time I take not to work. So I appreciate when people have the time to stop and catch up and give me your advice. I'm excited for you to see these hemp fields.
When you were a kid, were those houses there?
Nope, that was a farm. Guy milked Jersey cows, so that got developed in the last 12 years, 15 years.
Yeah. What was that like when you saw that going in?
I mean, it's changed. Honestly, I look at it as it's not great farm ground. It's pretty hilly. You know, it's not good crop ground. So at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. It's always depressing when you really see good land get developed. There's a property not far from here that's going to be a lot of houses, and it's good farmland. That one hurts. And, you know, if people could collaborate and, you know, obviously we can't stop building, so let's try and find land that isn't as profitable per acre for crops as opposed to taking really good cropland. That's the tough part.
Then we drove on up to the hemp fields. Can you introduce yourself? Like, who are you?
Herb Grove from Brush Mountain Bison, Spring Mills, Pennsylvania. I'm not real good at that, to be honest. You can edit that out.
That was a good.
Not a good interviewer. So we do corn, beans, rye. We do a lot of rye and self-recovered crop. Our goal is to come back in here with canola, winter canola, harvest canola out in the spring, and then be able to come back in with the hemp. So we have two varieties in this field. We'll get out and walk around. This is a New West Genetics. And it ends about right here. And then we come into CFX2, definitely a shorter variety. But the funny thing, in this field on our left is CFX2. And for some reason, this has been one of the most dominant fields of hemp I've ever seen. Just even as can be. Want to get out and check it out?
Sure do. So it was a little too windy out in the hemp field for any usable recordings, but the hemp looks great. You can see photos and videos of it on my Instagram feed at Industrial Hemp Podcast. So then after that, Herb drove me around. We went back to Center Hall. We went to a place called the Frosty Hook, got something to drink and a hamburger. And then went back to the farm, and Herb let me stay in his family's cabin. It's this beautiful, like, refurbished old log cabin that sits up above the farm. Herb and his friend Rachel and I sat on the porch of the cabin for a while, and I played them a few of my Shetland fiddle tunes on my baritone ukulele. And then after they left, I sat outside. I spread a blanket out on the grass and just watched the stars up there. There's the stars in Center County are nothing like the stars in Chester County. Back home, there's so much light pollution that, you see the big ones. You see the Big Dipper. You see Orion's Belt, things like that. But out in Center County, you could see, I guess it's the Milky Way, and I saw shooting stars going by, and it was really just a wonderful night. In the morning, I met up with Herb again, and he took me over to the farm to see the bison and the sunflowers. So again, you can see some photos of that on the Instagram page. After that, I went back to Ag Progress and was taking more photos for the newspaper. And in fact, my editor, Steve, was looking for like the perfect shot for the front page of the paper this week. And it was pushing up against deadline, and he was texting saying, "Hey, did you get anything yet?" And I'm like, "Well, what kind of photo do you need, Steve?" And he just writes back, "An awesome photo." I'm like, all right, great, no pressure. So walking around the grounds there at Ag Progress, I looked up and saw an equipment rental company had these lifts, like big, tall arms stretched up into the sky. And I thought, maybe I could climb up there and get a picture. So I went over to the Easy Up where Slaymaker rentals were set up. And I asked the guy, I'm like, "Hey, can I go up in that lift?" And he just says, "No." I don't really like being told no. So I tried again. I'm like, hey, I'm with Lancaster Farming Newspaper, and I would love to take a photo from up there of the whole fairgrounds here. And his name was Adam Latin, and he recognized the good opportunity for what it was. So he went back, and I guess he asked the owner of the company, and they said, yep, sure, Lancaster Farming certainly can go up there. So fast forward a little bit, and yeah, I found myself up in a fiberglass bucket 92 feet above Ag Progress Days taking pictures. I love my job. I love getting to talk to people and take pictures and do stuff, and I am just extremely grateful. So anyway, after Ag Progress, I drove home. The drive home from State College is so beautiful. The mountains of Pennsylvania, the way the highways curve through them, you're following the Susquehanna River. Absolutely gorgeous. I love Pennsylvania. The only thing we don't really have here in Pennsylvania is an ocean. So on Friday, I went down to Ocean City, New Jersey with my wife and kids and spent the day swimming in the Atlantic. So one of my absolute favoriteest things in the whole world is going out in the ocean, out past where the waves are breaking, and there's this spot out there where you can still sort of stand, and the waves come in, and you just feel the energy of the ocean wash over you, and it lifts you up. It's like you're flying, like your body is just sort of dangling there like a marionette, and then the ocean puts you back down on the seafloor again. It is the best thing ever, and I love it. And I am so thankful that I got to spend the time there with my family on Friday. And on Saturday, I went out to the 94th annual Old Fiddler's Picnic in Hibernia Park in Chester County. So why am I telling you this, and what does it have to do with industrial hemp? Yeah, good questions. It's got nothing to do with industrial hemp, but I'm telling you because, I don't know, I feel like you might be interested. I started learning how to play the fiddle about 8 months ago, the beginning of the year. I took a few lessons and learned enough just to be dangerous, and I've fallen down this sort of rabbit hole of Shetland fiddle tunes. So going out to this Fiddle Fest on Saturday was great for me because it's the first time I've been to a Fiddle Fest as a fiddle player. I wasn't sure what I was hoping to find there, but I think I found it. What you're hearing now in the background is Mike Williams on fiddle, accompanied by Hilary Fraley on guitar. And I did run into my old fiddle teacher.
Hi, I'm Wendy Provencher.
I took a few lessons with her back in the winter, back in January and February. I want you to know that I have not given up on the fiddle.
Good.
I've just sort of stopped taking lessons.
Okay.
And I sort of went down the rabbit hole of Shetland fiddle tunes, because that Herlock's
right.
Reel was a Shetland fiddle tune. And then I learned the Slocket Light and then all these other tunes. And then I learned them on the ukulele, and I've really enjoyed learning them on the ukulele.
Nice.
And then take them back to the fiddle, which still sounds atrocious, because...
It didn't sound atrocious.
Oh, you're very kind. But yeah, it sounds like I'm killing something, I think. It's pretty squeaky. But I'll get there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little practice and it'll all come together.
Do you have any words of encouragement for middle-aged men like me who want to take up the fiddle?
Just keep trying it. Anything you do in life just takes doing it to get better at it. So there's no secret to being a good fiddler except to put in the time learning it. Yeah.
Well, that's good advice no matter what you're trying to do. So anyway, that was my trip to the 94th annual Old Fiddler's Picnic in Chester County. And then all of a sudden it was the work week again, and I was back at it. On Tuesday morning, I found myself in Christiana, Lancaster County, at King's AgriSeeds Research Farm. They had a field walk, like a field day for hemp stuff. There's 14 different varieties that they're trialing there on their farm. And Sarah Mitchell from King's AgriSeeds invited everybody in. There was equipment dealers, there was seed dealers. farmers, there was, podcasters. We were all there in the field, including Wendy Mosher, CEO of New West Genetics, who talked about the genetic traits that her company is developing for hemp.
What New West has developed for next year, commercial release, has a trait called Amplify, and it's a genetic trait. By the way, everything we do is non-GMO. However, we utilize the genomics to inform our selection so we can do quick, fast breeding, right? And accurate breeding, which is how we got the THC down. So this trait Amplify doubles yield. So what you see in the field here are a bunch of males, right? And the males are here for what? Solely pollination. Otherwise, they're pretty useless and they're taking up space, right? So what our scientists have figured out are the genetics around gender. So in CBD, you use that silver nitrate, right, to induce the feminization. That's not scalable. It's perfect for CBD flower in a greenhouse. What we've figured out is how to control gender so that genetically, when you plant our hybrid seed, which has this amplified trait, it can result in 100% female. So, there's a heterosis impact too for those of you on the science side. Not only do we have, more females, 50% more, right, leading to a double grain yield, but we also have this impact when you make a hybrid like we have in corn called heterosis, where it's got better stand establishment, it's got better disease resistance, as well as in Colorado we deal with hail, so better bounce back from hail, etc. So that trait is coming next year, and that's when we believe it will truly be competitive with soy, because it'll get probably about between 100 and 200 more pounds an acre than soy's yields, which average like 3,000 across the U.S., right, if you look at USDA data. So we've hit up to 3,700 in our previous 3-year trials with this trait. 3,700 pounds an acre of grain. So that's when, in trials. And it's trialing across the U.S. this year. This is the first time we've released it publicly. And then next year, it's going to go to our strategic partners who are processing.
And here's Derek Montgomery from International Hemp talking about the importance of certified seed.
You start playing around with non-certified seed, you're taking a huge risk. Because the non-certified seed, first of all, you always want to know what you had the previous year. So if you made a mistake, you can change it. But if you're starting with something that you don't have a consistent starting point, it's really hard to know. If Dave's seed that came to me last year, if I don't know if Dave's giving me the exact same kind this year, what am I starting with? How do I know what to do with it, right? But hemp, the cannabis plant, there's certain genetics in those plants, and if it has a phenome type, phenome type 1, it's going to get pretty technical. That produces THC. Okay. And so our hemp varieties have no phenotypes 1 in them. Okay. We test them all, make sure there's none. Our varieties will not go hot on you. Okay. These other varieties do.
Because we had a guy that was trying to do oil, and his went out of spec, and he had lost his whole crop because of that. Correct. So for a certified variety, we have to put it through a state licensing agency. They grow it, they test it, they make sure it's THC compliant. Anything that's a licensed variety has to be 0.3% or less. A lot of our stuff's in the 0.1 or undetectable. Our Carmenecta, we think, will be...
So I figured there'd be, seed people there and equipment people there and farmers, but the person I did not expect was Chad Rosen, founder and CEO of Victory Hemp Food in Carlton, Kentucky. But yeah, there he was.
I'm actually incidentally out here. I had a couple appointments booked at McCormick, the seasoning house, and then Gibadon, which is a big flavor house, and so it made just all the sense in the world to come out here for the field days. You guys lined them up and coordinated them. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of what we do at Victory, started in 2014. Didn't know our ass from our elbow, really. We got 6 farmers to grow in 3 different counties. Put some Canadian sourced grain in the ground, and had to figure out how to dehull it pretty quick or get it to market. And I had a bit of a manufacturing background, so between myself and some friends and family, we got an oil seed press, and we put a dehulling line together with some used equipment. So we got a little dehuller from Forsberg, we got some gravity tables and some screen cleaners, and started taking it to the farmers markets, and got a good idea of what people liked and people didn't like. We figure that there was a lot of products on store shelf from Canada, from Manitoba Harvest and Hemp and Nutiva and such, and so wanted to say, what would it be like to bring a product to market that was grown in the U.S. and processed in the U.S. And I think consumers were still waking up to what hemp is, and I think they still are. It's still
Yep. And here's something else from Wendy Mosher.
By the way, one last plug I want to make. I'm one of the founding members of Hemp Feed Coalition. It's a 501c3. We started it back in 2017. I really urge you all to become members. We cannot have a grain market without the animal feed market, right? Because you are not going to produce perfect on-spec grain every time. So please support Hemp Feed Coalition. You can become a member for $20. You can become a member for $10,000, and you can get special amenities for that, right? But we are probably 6 months away from full poultry approval. We are submitting a ruminant, so we submit applications to the FDA CVM. That's what Hemp Feed Coalition does. All of your dollars go directly to that. None of us make money. We actually give more. We give money. But that's because we know the payout, right? 80 to 90 million acres of corn and soy every year in this country, principally for animal feed, a little bit of ethanol, right? So we need a piece of that market. Amplify yields are going to make it competitive with soy and a very viable option for rotation.
So yeah, all in all, it was a good hemp event there at King's AgriSeeds. I know in the afternoon there was a contingent that went over to Steve Groff's farm in Holtwood, Lancaster County. I talked to Steve. He was pretty excited because he just got hold of this McHale baler that has a hemp kit that's gonna do a wonderful job of baling his fiber hemp.
This is the McHale. They've been building hemp balers for a while. That's one reason why we went with this brand. It's from Ireland. It was never banned over there, so they've been playing with it a while. This is a heavy duty, basically a silage model for those who know about balers. But what's very unique, no other baler has this, is if you look in here, it's a hemp kit that they have. These tines here are actually backwards compared to what most farmers would be used to. With the way this is, that's so it doesn't pull the hemp down and make a rope. And we have this blocked off here, and then inside here there's protection so it doesn't wrap. Then the rest of the baler is a normal silage type round baler. So we'll be putting this in the field here in a couple weeks and doing our test runs with it.
I saw Steve Groff again over at the Penn State Research Farm in Landisville, where they had their Twilight Hemp Walk. And Jeff Graybill was sort of the MC, the master of ceremonies, and there was a few featured guests. Dr. Daniela Carrillo, she's a researcher at Penn State, researching industrial hemp. Dr. Siram Rudrahabla. Dr. Siram, he was on our show a few weeks ago talking about the industrial hemp engine. Sarah Pickle, the program coordinator for the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. She actually had a message that she wants farmers to remember that there is a hotline that you can call up for scouting services. You know, for pests, you got something in your crops, you don't know what it is, you can call up this hotline. It's 1-800-PENN-IPM. That's 800-PENNIPM. Right? All right. So thank you, Sarah, for letting us know about that. Sarah Mitchell was also on hand talking about King's AgriSeeds trials. Steve Groff was there talking about his operation and, the equipment that he needs and the equipment that he's getting for harvesting. Cynthia Patron-Hudock from Hemp Alternative was there talking about, sort of the business aspect of things and how you need to surround yourself with subject matter experts as you're building your hemp business. So all in all, it was a really, a good event. The attendance was maybe 40 to 50 people, sort of a far cry from the green rush days of 2019 when it was standing room only in that pole barn. But it was great to be out in the fresh air, seeing the hemp growing there. And I think this is kind of telling, but at both of these research farms, there was no CBD growing. It was all fiber and grain, and some dual varieties of fiber and grain. So that was my crazy week of going places and doing things and talking to people. Did I leave anything out? Yeah, absolutely. Why? Because I love you, and you don't need to know everything, right? Anyway, my name is Eric Herlock. I am the digital editor at Lancaster Farming Newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Please check us out online at lancasterfarming.com. Go to the show page for this episode and you can see some photos from the various events. And of course, I have some photos and videos up on the Instagram page. I guess our handle is @Industrial Hemp Podcast. Why do I sound so unsure about that? No, that's what it is. Industrial Hemp Podcast on Instagram. All right, anyway, that does it for me. Thank you for your patience with today's show. I know it was a little wacky. The sound quality wasn't always up to par, but you know, that's what happens when you go traveling around. You got to just make do. So anyway, we'll try it again next week. All right, until next time, I will see you in the newspaper.
Industrial Hemp.
Season 3, Episode 30 of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is copyright 2023 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show is written and recorded, edited, and produced by Eric Herlock. And some of the music you heard in the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow. But also thanks to Mike and Hillary for playing me that Southern Appalachian fiddle tune.